And that has everything to do with our special report, that is the Turkish Delight, which talks all about, Kenya's relationship with Turkey. And not just Kenya, we're talking about the whole continent that is Africa, even as Turkey positions itself as a global power. What does Turkey, what kind of interest does Turkey have in Africa? We'll try and answer some of the questions there for you. Here is our special feature report tonight, the Turkish Delight. Istanbul, Turkey. In ancient times, Turkey was known as Asia Minor, the enormous landmass protruding from the depth of Asia into the eastern Mediterranean. Modern Turkey, which was built on the ruins of the Ottomans, is now using its enlarged geographical location to cement its place as a regional powerhouse after decades of economically backward and politically repressive backwaters. All this spearheaded by this man, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Erdogan's administration's win-win policy now seems to gain traction in Africa, a relationship that constitutes one of the prime orientations of Turkish foreign policy. Be it in Somalia, where Turkish footprints can be seen almost everywhere, from the country's parliament to its military base, to Kenya, and even as far as Niger, Turkish companies and investors continue to stamp authority, giving both the Chinese and the West a run for their money in Africa.
Our turnover is almost $500 million according to last year's news, which is represented through the government, and it's growing very fast. So we have 250 employees, and we are making 90 countries export operation, and we are growing, and we are adding more countries, at least 3 countries each and every year in our range. And meanwhile, the most important point is not growing. The most important point is to adding the value into the market.
Turkish thirst to forge its way as a global power cannot be underestimated. This has seen the country of 80 million people not hesitate to extend a hand to anyone ready to work with them and share part of what they call the Turkish Delight. Well, away from Istanbul, which is the commercial hub of Turkey, this is Konya, a city of about 5 million people. It's about 700 kilometers away from Istanbul. This is a city that is basically an agricultural as well as an industrial hub. This is one of the cities that drives the Turkish economy.
We are growing, and We are expecting.
It's here that I accompanied the Kenyan delegation led by governors and members of parliament as they engage in an exchange program tour to get to learn some of the technological advancement in Turkey, especially in the livestock industry.
Kenya is going to benefit a lot, especially in the aspect of Kenya Meat Commission. We need to focus on ensuring that we revive and expand the Kenya Meat Commission, have modern technologies that will bring value and productivity in the value chain, so that we have a fully functional Kenya Meat Commission. That is specifically why we are here. Also, so that we can also tap into the modern technologies that the Turkish government has, so that we can also ensure it is taken back home to ensure that our KMC is fully functional.
This should, Yusuf, become a turning point where also in Kenya, the livestock supports the 26% of the GDP. It's almost equivalent to Turkey, but we know this is a very big economy. But nonetheless, to develop the livestock feeds and livestock development feeds in Kenya will create more than 500,000 jobs, because we shall map out and partner with different county governments who have vast lands and suitable environments to develop the feeding crops that will be used to do the feedlots. Yes. We shall, out of the partnership, will resonate between us and also the National Youth Service, where the National Youth Service will be used as an expertise to induce the creation of these feedlots in different counties. And then the National Youth Service will train the counties in the ASAL areas or in other livestock areas where the county governments will provide land for the crop production for the feeding of the livestock.
Turkey-Africa relations have gained a substantial momentum since the declaration of Turkey as a strategic partner of the continent by the African Union. Since then, Turkey, through the Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency, well known as TICA, headquartered in Ankara, have managed to initiate various development assistance in sectors like education, health, as well as agriculture. TICA is used by Turkey as an implementing intermediary of its foreign policy.
Yes, we're in partnership too with Turkish private companies to do modernization, minimum modernization with Kenya Meat Commission, which is gradual. We call it minimum because of the funds. We may not have enough funds, but they have started developing the plant, both, but they have started at the river, going to Kibarani, Mombasa very soon. It's very important. The changing phase has started, as I told you, because even the dehydrating machine, which they have fixed at the river plant, it's a miracle now, you know, because the quality of the hides we are providing to the market is tremendously very good. And they are going to do an overhaul with our cold chain system, where we'll have a proper storage and proper management of the products, so that we can take them to the field as required.
The exchange program between Kenya is the first since Turkish President Erdogan visited Kenya in June. And it's also the first that is centered around food security, one of the main 4 agendas of President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration.
To improve food security, it's time we link the livestock economy to our main economic undertaking. Also value in terms of GDP, because in the past, livestock is not regarded as part of wealth. And with a population of 80% in Samburu and mostly northern Kenya dependent on livestock, it's time we take livestock economy seriously. A whole process. We need to make investment on hay production, we need to make investment on feed production, enhance feedlots, so that we improve in terms of value, we improve in terms of quality, so that the end result, when we get our livestock to KMC, we'll get return, investment returns, so that we also become competitive by producing quality, by producing value, and also to save our farmers from losses associated with the cyclic drought.
Starting with Erdogan, and we have 2023 vision, and we have 2071 vision, and I know from Kenya that also you have visions. For example, 2030 vision, I think you have. And through these visions, especially by our side, we take lots of support from our government, and we are fighting all over the world for our economy and for the human beings. You know, coming from our culture, when we go somewhere, we want to improve it. We have to improve it. This is our genetics, what we have in our blood, so we want to give something. The knowledge, technology, friendship, and sharing. That's why we will be a good partner for Kenya.
As an emerging donor country, one of the key aspects of Turkish assistance to Africa, and to be specific, Kenya, is agriculture, especially the livestock subsector. In a country whose economy has been flourishing, the livestock sector remains an important pillar. Well, the livestock industry alone accounts for about 25% of the Turkish economy and employs millions of people, especially the youth. So what part of the Kenyan delegation here in Turkey are trying to do is basically achieve that back in Kenya.
We had a presentation in National Youth Service of Kenya, and I was very surprised. And also, when we walk in the streets of Kenya, we see that there is a big potential in national youth. So we believe that livestock, which is starting from agriculture and which is ending in the quality red meat products, will employ lots of Kenya youth in that area.
Turkish manufacturing industries are diverse and growing. Public sector entities dominate manufacturing, accounting for about 40% of value added. Private sector firms are dominated by large conglomerates that have diversified across several industries.
Is encouraging each and every Turkish companies to make more business and become more aggressive in the markets. For instance, when we go and try to penetrate the new markets, the government giving us some extra advantage. When we go, for instance, let's go to the one country, and the government sometimes covering 40% of our flight tickets and hotel accommodation. When I participate any fair, the government also supporting us. And this kind of help is really sufficient for us to go and become more aggressive in the market. And simultaneously, and according to Turkish Perspective magazine, the Turkish government is also pushing the Exim Bank and forcing Exim Bank to be more involving in any project, especially in Africa. For instance, when we make the project with any company in Africa, the Exim Bank become more open-minded to finance this kind of project, so that Turkish Exim Bank is increasing our influence, because today the Chinese banks is making this kind of strategy and they are really successful.
Agro-processing is one of the most dynamic branches of Turkish industry, supplying both domestic and export markets. Main product lines are sugar, flour, processed meat and milk, and fruits and vegetables. Processed food exports grew at an average rate of 8% per year between 1987 and 1992, accounting for 9% of total exports then. The numbers are much more higher now.
You've already said you have 11 different companies under IMAS. You operate in 90, or is it more than 90 countries?
More than 90 countries.
So one will ask, it seems your plate is already full, but IMAS is still hungry. I mean, what drives you?
We have to increase per year at least 20-25%. We have to increase because we are capable to increase. We have really big support from the behind. One support because of our group, Ittifak Holding, is encouraging us to be more aggressive, to grow up faster. And meanwhile, we have to be really sensitive about the customer demand.
With Turkey's path to European Union accession facing a roadblock for the foreseeable future over the years, the AKP-led Turkish government has prioritized large-scale infrastructure investment projects. Some examples include Istanbul's third airport, a third bridge crossing over the Bosphorus Strait, and the country's first nuclear power plant. Such projects have created investment and employment opportunities while also upgrading the country's infrastructure. Enhanced transportation links and energy assets is also likely to improve the country's international competitiveness. These projects have proved to be popular with the Turkish public, and it is common for Turkish political rulers to mention these accomplishments in their speeches. Being one of the leading honey producers in the world and the leading meat and dairy producer with more than 11,000 plant species compared to just 1,150 in the rest of Europe, Turkey's secret to high-quality animal production lies with its feedlots.
Well, these are just some of the animal feeds that are made here in Turkey, and they contain, almost all the important nutrients, protein, carbohydrates, name them. And this is what gives the Turkish livestock industry an edge over other countries. And they're not just making it for the local market, they're also exporting these animal feeds.
So I think it's very useful for an animal. Unlike the places where in Kenya we walk animals for a long distance to search for grass. It could be very convenient. This can be packed in 30, 25, 50 or even 200 kg bags, and animals will be fed by this. Then definitely the health, the quality of the meat, and the status of the animal in terms of the meat and the fat content will improve.
We have a lot to learn from this visit, especially the farmers, as well as the various cooperatives in Kenya. They can draw valuable lessons from Turkey. And as it has been mentioned before, the mechanization, silage production, and what have you. So we've learned a lot.
Apart from agriculture, security is also another main area where Kenya has had a close relationship with Turkey, with the latter having a keen interest in Somalia. Kenya made a military incursion into Somalia in October 2011, bringing both the port city of Kismayu and Jubaland under its control. Turkey has also made deep inroads into Somalia since President Erdogan not once but twice visited the troubled country, going against the popular claim. He left after signing a $500 million deal in road projects, hospitals, mosques and schools. Split between two different continents, two different cultures and two different worlds, Turkey is slowly reclaiming its lost glory. Those especially in the political class say Turkey is on course to regain its historical influence and take up its place as a global power. But despite Turkish win-win policy in Africa, the continent of more than 1.2 billion people are spoiling for a chance not to miss out on the Turkish delight.